Well, with us right now is Dr. David Manago, Manago Chiropractic, of course. Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you.
And today we're going to talk about a subject that affects many different people for different reasons, and that's neuropathy. So, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Second of all, overall, what is neuropathy?
Well, neuropathy literally means diseased nerves.
Okay.
And everything in your body is controlled by nerves, so when nerves become diseased, the body begins to fail. It's literally like the communication line from the nervous system to your organs and your muscles falls apart.
Okay. Now, quite often, and we're looking at a photo here, it seems to be, and I may be wrong here, affect more of the lower extremities, legs and feet, than upper. Is that true, or am I wrong?
No, it is true. It is true. Most people feel it in their legs and feet. There's a smaller percentage that get it in their arms and hands.
Okay.
In fact, we have a gentleman right now who has it in both. So we actually have to treat his arms and hands and his legs and feet because they're all falling asleep.
Yeah. And you mentioned something I was just going to bring up. We all have, from time to time, where we call, gee, my foot fell asleep or my leg fell asleep, something like that. And that's usually because maybe the way you were sitting, maybe the blood flow didn't go through or pinched a nerve or temporarily. But this isn't temporary. Am I right? This is kind of ongoing or reoccurring?
Well, if you look at the next slide, it illustrates that. But the answer is yes. It's a progressive, degenerative condition, and waiting just allows it to get worse and worse and worse, so it can become permanent and then it's too late.
Right, but that is kind of, I guess what I'm asking is, we all know what that feels like when your foot falls asleep and then all of a sudden you feel that tingling.
Yes.
Is that kind of what people feel, but they feel it much more on a constant basis? Is that
constant
it?
basis. Constant basis.
Wow.
It becomes tingling, it can be burning, it can feel like there's ants crawling on their feet, it can feel like there's tacks going into their skin. It actually hurts. And varying degrees, all those different symptoms can happen at the same time. And sometimes they happen in the middle of the night, sometimes they happen during the day, and the people have trouble walking. It's a very debilitating condition. In fact, the gentleman that I just told you about was concerned that he would have to be in an old people's home, so to speak, because he wasn't going to be able to drive and or walk, and someone would have to take care of him. And so he was very, very concerned that it would disable him.
So what causes this? Or what are the causes? I'm sure there's plenty here.
There are numerous causes, from over-the-counter medications to having been a smoker to cardiovascular disease. There's probably 25 different causes, and many of them affect the person at the same time.
Okay, so is it important to kind of isolate the cause? Because it sounds like there's so many different ones. There could be different reasons. I imagine people who are diabetic even, right?
Well, 27% of diabetics have it.
Okay.
To isolate the cause is impractical because there's so many different causes, things that people have done in their lives, that it's difficult to isolate which one, and probably not one thing alone, causes it. But on this slide you can see what's happening, and the normal nerve on the top has normal blood flow. You can see the blood flow feeding the oxygen and the elements to the nerves. Well, in the diseased nerves, the blood vessels actually is what's diseased. So now the nerve doesn't get enough oxygen and energy, so the nerve begins to die.
Okay.
And that's when all those symptoms come up. And unless that condition stopped, at the bottom there you see a nerve that there's spaces between the nerve cells, so the electricity can't get through, and it becomes uncorrectable if a person waits from...
So if you get to that point...
You could be impossible. It could be an impossible task to help a person like that. And that's really my point in wanting to help people with this condition. There's no other solution. There's no medical solution that actually fixes the blood vessels like that. And I'm not here to knock the medical profession. I'm just saying there's no help for people that have this condition unless they go to a natural method to restore the blood flow and restore the nutrition to the nerves. The nerves will actually die.
Right.
And the closer you get to that point where there's absolutely no blood flow on the nerve, the closer you are to becoming completely disabled.
So tell me, when people have this condition, and again, at first they might just think, hey, my foot, my arm, something fell asleep. It gets to the point where they're noticing it very frequently, more so than when quite often the reason why. You're like, oh, I fell asleep funny. I was leaning this way, and there's a reason why that happens, and it goes away in a matter of minutes.
Right.
This is something that's ongoing, and at this point, somebody should be aware of it, and that's the point they should start to do something about it.
Yeah, the awareness actually doesn't help unless the person takes action.
Yeah.
And that's the
Exactly.
key. It's like saying, I have a toothache today, but I don't have the ache yesterday. It's hurting today, so it's not a big thing. But you really do have a serious cavity in the tooth when that happens. So when a person starts to notice this, whether it's a little bit or it's every other day, it doesn't matter. The nerve is dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And either you take action and save it, or again, disability is the outcome. And some people even have their limbs amputated because there's no blood flow.
So as far as treating this condition, what is something that you do? What is the cost involved? How long does it take?
Well, what we do is we use a system of lights, an LED lighting system that actually energizes
which you brought on
the
before.
cell.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
The point is, with nutritional help and the stimulation of the lights, we can regenerate the blood flow. In 80% of the cases, we have an 80% success rate.
Yeah.
In terms of the cost, I think that's a key point. There are competitors in my field that are charging 50% more, sometimes twice as much as we charge to actually treat and correct this kind of a problem. The introductory fee is only $25. People come into me for $25. I spend an hour of my time educating them, and then 30 minutes examining them to find out if I can help them. The normal charge is $290. It's a $25 fee to find out if we can actually help their neuropathy.
Right.
And our price, like I said, is at least 50% less than our competitors, but we include checking the entire spine, finding out if the nerves are actually pinched at the same time that we're treating them for neuropathy, because if we don't unpinch the nerves, then the nutrition wouldn't help.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you are located over by Mission Hospital, right? It's at Crown Valley, right?
Crown Valley Parkway, right at the bottom of the hill from on Medical Center Drive.
Okay, so that's, if you're not familiar with that, it's right by the mall over there, and there's a lot of different, obviously, medical centers over there.
Yes.
And the hospital, it's very easy to get to. As far as making an appointment with you, do they, one of the things people are going to ask, although you just talked about the low cost, do they need to go with their primary first and talk to them? Are you a referral, or can they just call you up and say, hey, I may have something that's affecting me here, neuropathy. I'd like to at least come in and talk with you.
They don't need a referral from a medical professional, because truthfully, it's not really a medical condition.
Okay.
The care that we give people, it's not going to be covered by insurance, so I give very large discounts to seniors and anybody else who's got the problem.
Okay.
So they just need to call in.
Very good. Yeah, I always like to bring that up, because people may say, well, how do I go about it? A lot of times doctors may not take direct calls, but you obviously do. Your number's on the screen, and it's 949-364-5656. And again, if you think you have these symptoms, for $25, you can't beat that, to go in and just see if something can be done, and if it's true that you may have neuropathy, that you can see how you can treat these folks. So
Exactly. And the key thing that messes people up is the waiting.
Yeah.
The waiting that they do allows the condition to continue to worsen, because it's a degenerative. It's a degenerative condition.
Yeah.
So you can't be fooled by little bit of symptoms, or the symptoms come and go. That's not to be something that you should be fooled by.
Right.
That's when you take action.
Yeah, I agree. All right, doctor, always good to see you. And again, the number is 949-364-5656, and located close by there over in Mission Viejo off Crown Valley Parkway and the Medical Center Drive over there. So easy to get to. Give the doctor a call if you think that you can benefit from this, and he's going to see if he can help you out. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Take care.
All right.
We'll be right back.